Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Space Starship EVO. I am your host, Reason, and today we are going to be looking at a couple of projects that I built a little while ago. These are Zorkian class ground speeders slash fighter crafts. One is already into fighter mode, and the other is in speeder. Now, the reason I have two ships is because it would have been easier to do it this way than to have to go through all the trouble of setting one up for one. And anyway, so yeah, one set up for land and one set up for space. So I believe this one is the one that we are going to use for the ground. So basically, what these were a type of specialized dropship. Now, landing gear. Now, how these things would work is very simple. They would come in from a ship from orbit, already in launch flight mode. They would fly down to the surface and automatically would convert into speeders, which is what this one is currently. And they were light combat. They were lightly shielded. They had decent weapons, though the weaponry was set, so there was no basic turning and stuff. These things were quick. They went in, did the job, got out. They were used against Zork or Doom Empire armies and taking out small targets such as tanks and military installations and stuff like that. They were also used in troop combat, which you'd have a few of these ahead, and they would escort troops, or they do small land very escort missions. Rather than sending down a fighter squad, these things were very versatile, very cheap to build, and very easy to get going. So anyway, there wasn't much to these. They were very versatile crafts, like I said before. And the cool thing about these ships is you only really needed a handful of them. Although they were not the strongest things in the world, and they certainly had their flaws and weaknesses, which, like any other ship would, these things would also, after they were finished their mission, they would just shoot off into the atmosphere like so and disappear, which made these things pretty dangerous for what they were. Now, in combat versus fighters, these things were not the best. Though maneuverable, they were easily taken out. On the ground, they were pretty hard to shoot. They could hide behind an object or basically dodge out of the way and practically disappear or become almost invisible. When they're out in space, they are still harder to hit being a smaller craft, but having low shielding, they're not very defensive. But on the ground, against handheld weapons and rocket launchers, these things hold up fairly well. It could take an impact from an explosive warhead from a lightweight craft or another land vehicle pretty good and keep fighting. In space, not so much. That's where these things lose their combat. These things are just built to basically, they're built like a dropship. They go down to the surface, do their business, and then leave. These things were fair. These little types of craft. Very, 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 very useful during the Doom Empire War. And the fun thing about these, you can destroy each other. But yeah, these are definitely a ship that are very well. Having an interesting history, Zorko Starbase had about 20 or 30 of these ships in one of their hangars that what they would send out to defend the base on occasion. They'd use these things like drones on swarmers. or for collateral damage ships. And over here we have the older style Doom Empire vessel. These were land speeders, same as the Zorkian style. But these things were a lot weaker, very poorly gunned. They were used for helping the troops. These things were used for ground escort, and these guys would basically go in front of the troops or behind the troops, and would attack from rear, giving the ground troops cover and also a bit of protection. Usually, one person would pilot them, and they'd have 4 or 5 AI drones that would follow behind. So these things were their own little army, but as I said before, they're not powerful. A few hits to the engines and these things are done. But they're fast, which makes these things great for racing. It's a morale class lightweight speeder. It's about half the size of the Zorkian type, and I believe this thing can get up to 120 if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, there it goes. Just past 120 meters a second. I might be able to get to 130. I'm not exactly sure the top speed of this. I never fully tested it. And anyway, folks, it bounces right through the middle of the thing. All right, we better turn around, head back before. Oh, I think I don't want to get stuck. They're agile little things, but they're not the best. And yeah, another little fatal flaw of these things, they kind of have no way of getting back to the surface. So yeah, that's it. We're drifting in space now. We're off and we're out of here. Anyway, folks, maybe we can take off. No, we can't. No, we're done. Anyway, folks, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. It's going to be a short one today. Uh, please rate, subscribe, and comment. And yeah, thanks to everybody who's checked out the videos, and I hope you're enjoying the channel. Right now, I'm having trouble with the mic and that, so I do know the sound is a little off, but I do apologize. There's not much I can do about that until I can get a improved mic system. So, unfortunately, my audio system is what it is. Sorry about that. However, if you have any suggestions or ideas, feel free to hit me up. Anyway, folks, that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll put a link in the description for both these vehicles, and they are downloadable on the workshop. Until next time, I am Reason, and we will see you in space.